All right, Shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Bahashem,
Yahweh
Yahushai,
Shai,
Bahashem, Chakodash.
Shemar Kakodash. And we're also going to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there. And we're just going to do a quick lesson that's concerning IUIC because as of recent, two things popped up. First, you had one of the top men, I forgot his exact name, but one of the top men at IUIC was, saying that now the MOTB, okay, is concerning digital, IDs, which, we've been starting with the apostles on down. We've been saying that, well, in particular, the chip, because I'll say this, they never really said the chip, they just said digital ID. But, eventually they're going to have to say that it is the chip because everything is going to go on that chip at some point, okay? And then they're going to insert it, into the people, okay? But now, they're mentioning that. And then you had this whole, collaboration with the, Nation of Islam, which, look, the scriptures say what, be ye separate, as it says in Corinthians. You shouldn't be affiliated with these different, groups. Hey, but as Elder Yashawamba has been saying for years now, this has been going on for years and years and years. What Esau's trying to do is have us somehow connected with, Islam because they can, say that now we're, quote unquote, terrorists, right? Because that's what they're trying to link us up to. And that's how, more than likely, all right, which, you got to say they did sell out because they still have a 501c3 charter, but it shows you that these men aren't right. That group isn't right. All right. But did you have anything, Rapai? If not, I'll...
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to start off from the one you quoted, but this is 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? The Nation of Islam, all right, they have their own idols, man. That's like something that we don't that we stay away from, man. You see, all right, and they believe in something totally different, and it's outside of the scriptures, So we're not supposed to be joined with them in any way. We're supposed to rebuke our people that follow that madness, Verse 15, and what concord hath Mashiach with Belial, or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel, So we're not supposed to have any dealings with these people, man. Not just them, but anyone that opposes the truth, all right? But I'm going to jump down to, I'll keep reading actually because this is 17, but this is 16. And what agreement hath the temple of Yahweh with idols? For ye are the temple of the living power, as Yahweh hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them. Right. So wisdom's not going to enter into a malicious soul. So if you're wicked, if you're believing in something else, the Lord's not going to deal with you. All right. And I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them and be ye separate, be ye holy. Saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. So we're to draw closer to and towards Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not away from the Lord. You see, and that's why you're supposed to put this word, like the scripture says, that word have I hid in my heart so I don't sin against thee. You need to learn and abound in the knowledge of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai so you could offend less, man. All right? And draw near to the Lord, you see? Because these people don't got it. They're lost, man. And they're pushing that to their whole congregation.
I got 3 in the chamber, brother.
Go ahead.
Con. I got 3 in the chamber. This is the first one, though. This is to back you up in Sirach chapter 13, verse 1. He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him. And you see, by joining hand in hand, with, the Nation of Islam, you're touching pitch, man. Okay? You're going to be defiled. All right? Simple as that. those things are gonna start rubbing off on you. You see, you know that's a very very odd thing that they have done. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, you got to ask, what was the point of that? What benefit came from them doing these things? You see, you know, and these are, you got to remember these people, you know, that aren't, you know, following, you know, you know, the same doctrine as you. These are the same people that they want to bring you down. Okay, as simple as that. Because look, as the scriptures say in Amos chapter 3, verse 3. Let's get this real quick. Amos 3 and 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed? And that's a rhetorical question. We all know the answer to it. No, you can't. You all right? You have to be in agreement. The scriptures say what? You know, have the same mind, same accord. Let me get that real quick. I think that's Philippians 2 and 2. Get that real quick. Yep, this is Philippians 2 and 2, and it reads here, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, one accord, of one mind. You see, you have to have the same mind, be on one accord. So what's the point of being, you know, or joining hand in hand with people that are unbelievers? They're going to turn their back on you. Something negative is going to come forth from this. You see? All right.
Right. Can I back
I
you
just
up
wanted
with
to hit
this?
those scriptures, man. Yep, you got it, Doc.
Yeah, no, to back you up. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, we're supposed to draw towards those that have the same mind as us. You see, all right, that truly believe in spirit and then worship the Lord in spirit and in truth. But this is 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. All right. Hey, because the house of David is being built up, man. All right. And that doesn't comprise of those that follow Islam or Christianity or Catholicism or Buddhism. All right. All right. None of those false religions, man. We have to stay far from that. Here it is. The Lord's building us up right now, man. And then that's who he's going to gather, is his elect. You see, who see eye to eye, who agree on one accord with these scriptures. All right. That's why, hey, anywhere you go in the world where there's a brother that's in GMS that's pushing the same doctrine, it's the same doctrine worldwide, man. All right. There's no gimmicks. All right. There's no BS. It's just 100% truth. We're not dealing with these other false religions, man. You see? And in IUIC, they definitely sold out because the Bishop Nate, he once taught the truth. Now he has all this money, right? This gift that destroyed his heart, that perverted judgment. Now he's pushing all this madness. He's teaching, you know, JC and you know what I mean? And now bringing in the community. That's that Baal Rift. You know what I'm saying? The God of the community. That the Lord's not dealing with that shit. You know? He's coming here for the elect. We're not here to gather all Israel together, man. It's only for the elect. We know 2/3 are going to refuse it. All right? They're going to reject it. You see?
And I want to say this, you know, two things real quick, because you mentioned the Zechariah, right? 13, 8, 9, you know? And it says, you know, I like to bring this out with Elder Crab a lot, that according to Zechariah, the 13th chapter, really, the Lord's people are the elect right now. 2/3 of our own people aren't even really Israelites. You know, as we like to always say, hey, man, they're black, Mexican, Puerto Ricans, you know, Native Americans, Cubans, whatever, right? Whatever they identify themselves as, that's what they are, that's a heathen now, you know? So, they're, you know, that whole quote-unquote community thing, right, is complete folly, you know? It's wicked, all right? And the other thing, too, is, you know, when you see these things, it just reminds me of just some pro-black shit, you know, just to be, you know, frank, all right? And we're not here, look, man, we've been saying this for the longest. This is not a black thing, right, as Elder Malcolm always says. Hey, really, this is a seed line thing, okay? Because, look, as we mentioned, or I'll say this, I'm not really sure what if this has been coming out as of late. But I know with Elder Uriah and Elder Yakia, we've been bringing out a lot as of late how there's going to be the speckled birds, right? There's going to be Jake amongst all these other nations. And what's crazy is, with that being said, you had this one Edomite guy, and he looked like a total hippie. Like you just had to see this individual, man. But he was a Jake, and the elder bumped into him at work, and the Edomite, he was really a Jake, but the guy that looked like an Edomite, he's the one that actually brought up Yahweh Shemal Shai to the elder.
Mm.
You see. But the reason why I bring that out is, if it'll be very, for lack of words, discouraging to the other, to Jakes that look like the other nations. They'll see this as an all black thing, and that's why just throw out there, Jake's got to stop using those terms black and white so much. Now, of course, you may use it loosely just because that's how this world understands things, but you can't always be saying the white man, the black man. You know how ISUPK gets down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, you gotta, you may say these things, but you say, Israelites, or you say, hey, the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, you got to mention these things because now once you start bringing out these different terms, they'll make a person question, like, well, who are these people? Who's Esau? Who's Jacob? Who's Israel? I got to figure this out now,
Con.
My bad, this truck is loud. But I just wanted to throw that out there. How, a lot of these other camps, they're very colored based, for lack of words. See, and you can't be doing that because now you're really holding the keys back of salvation to somebody that's really inquiring. That's a dangerous game to play. All right.
Yeah, it has to be clear. Yeah. This is Jeremiah 12:9. My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about her, against her. The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, come devour. So the Lord's heritage, his people are like a speckled bird. They're going to come in all types of colors, all shades of brown, and even look like Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, But on the flip side as well, all right, because it is the parable of the wheat and the tares. You're going to have Edomites, right, people whose lineage comes, through Esau, Edom, but they're going to look like a so-called black man, you know what I'm saying? Or a so-called Hispanic man, because Esau raped our people, man, But not only that, you're going to have Israelites looking like all these other nations, the Israelite foreigners. And we have to put that disclaimer out there, you see, because skin color is an indicator. It's not a definite, like Elder Malcolm says, So you got to try the spirits. And, and that's the thing. A lot of these camps are not, working with the spirit. They're being carnal. They're looking at things, at face value, saying, "Oh, you're black. You're a Jew. You're one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Yada yada yada." But not knowing the spirit, man. Yep. All right, not inquiring in the spirit. Go ahead.
Can I say this too? We mentioned this on Saturday when I was doing the side camp with the brothers. I mentioned how a lot of, these other camps, they're not studied. They don't understand secular history, and to understand, I'll say it like this, you got to know the history to understand the mystery,
Yeah.
All right. And a lot of these guys, they don't really know history like that, and because they don't study, this is a fad to them,
Yeah.
You know how it is. Jake learns maybe a few precepts, and they run with it,
That they heard. That is, they heard. They never looked inside the book. They never opened the pages up. You know what I'm saying? They're just hearing it and going with it. And that's not how you got to be here. You got to be like the Church of Berea. You got to look into these things. You got to take what we're saying and search it out for yourself, man. So that you can be fully persuaded.
And going back to even the whole topic, right? With how Nate, was because we mentioned we didn't really get into it as of yet, but how you had one of those top men in his camp mention how now all of a sudden the MOTB is a digital ID. Look, man, if you were studious, if you were really digging, right, you would understand that the things that they said beforehand were off. right? Because they said I can't remember every little thing, but I know they've said that that basically like sin is the MOTB, which if that's the case, then we're all smoked, okay? And like how we've said many of times, how could you trade sin? How could you buy sin? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. All right. And there's numerous things that they have mentioned throughout the years. You know, but if you were as I said, studious, and you were really doing your diligent research, hey, you would be going into the Greek and all these things, and you will understand. Nah, man, that can't be it. The only thing that makes sense is this this chip, man. That's it. That's the only thing that honestly makes sense. Everything else that's being said is just madness. You got certain camps that'll say the white woman or sleeping with the white woman is the MOTB. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, stuff is crazy. And I know there's been more said on it. I just can't remember every little thing that has been brought out there because it's so much. Over the years. All right, but just to make a point. But you got it, Doc. Salakia, bro.
It's okay. It's Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach chapter 5, verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. You see? Because these people, they don't inquire, they don't look into it. They just hear and run with it, man, because everybody else is doing it, And then they're chasing a multitude of sin, man, because IUIC, they don't got it, man. They're not teaching 100% truth, Like, this is serious business. This all goes back to life or death. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're not really considering, how serious this is. You see? Because this is going to take them, this is going to take them when they're unaware. Here it is, we're blowing the trumpet, but IUIC is rocking them to sleep. Like, no, it's going to be okay. No Jacob's trouble's coming. That's not the microchip. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this madness, not giving them the truth, not giving them the true warning from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And now they're changing up the doctrine again. And Apostle Tahar has been harping on this about IUIC. They keep changing their shit, man. This is Proverbs 24 and 21. My son, fear thou the Lord Yahweh and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change, man.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? These people, they change up the doctrine over and over. And these followers were like, what's going on with them, man? Clearly they're asleep, all right, and just going with the motions, man. All right, no one's standing up for righteousness and say, hey, what's this? What's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think there was someone who asked them a certain question. Like, I think I forgot which video it was, but IUIC was like, are you a GMS? Hey, because the brother was bringing out good questions, man. You know what I'm saying? But they weren't ready for it. You see?
Exactly. Because
you're supposed to be ready. Go ahead.
Because if you really start questioning these guys, you start looking into things, you understand that their doctrine is like Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere,
Yeah. Oh, it froze. Oh.
All right. And once you're,
Oh, hold on. Can you repeat what you said?
No.
Right after the Swiss cheese, you froze.
Studied him. What the fuck?
Hey, sorry, you froze after
Lord
Swiss
willing,
cheese.
If you're studied and you understand the scriptures, you got to question these guys, All right, but let me get this. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. And that word rightly dividing is orthotomeo in the Greek. Okay, you got to teach correctly in the whole Bible. Hey, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Hold on 1 second. You're breaking up. You froze after orthotomeo.
Salakia, man, this is bugged. Oh, man, this is demonic, man. Salakia, can you still hear me?
I can hear you now.
Salakia, man. For some reason, I only got one bar over here, which is bugged the fuck out. Fucking demonic, man. It's just Satan, man.
Damn.
Never takes any breaks. But yeah, no, I was gonna say that word orthomeo goes into teaching what correctly and directly, okay? And you got to teach the Bible, 100%, because you'll have a lot of groups such as IUIC that want to omit particular things out of the scriptures because they're ashamed, okay, of what's actually written, and the majority of it is concerning women. Not everything, but a lot of it's concerning women, all right? Such as you dealing with a heathen woman, the woman becomes a woman when she hits her menstrual cycle, all right? The law of RAPE, okay, because a lot of guys get offended by that. And as we like to bring out, look, this is just a law that's, there, right? So we know what to do if this situation did occur, okay? And, we've done many lessons on it. It's really not that hard to grasp, okay? Want to switch? You see?
Sorry, you broke up again after this. It's not so hard to grasp or something.
Yeah, it's just not hard to grasp these things, man. All right, but they get offended. Because like I said, a lot of it has to deal with women, but you got to teach it correctly and directly, And that main thing is correctly too. These guys, everything switches up every couple of months, man. Every like 6 months. You see? But you got it, Doc.
Yeah, no, they say if your woman's an unbeliever, you could deal with her for a year. But after that, if she doesn't convert, you got to toss her to the side. That's folly. That's not what the scripture says. Yeah, it is wicked. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, your wife, if she's an unbeliever, she's, happy to dwell with you, you deal with her. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But they're teaching adultery, man. They're teaching madness over there.
Yeah.
That's why it's important. That's why it's important for you proselytes, you newcomers, you new brothers that are waking up to the truth, all right, to eat this roll up, man, and digest it. Get all the understanding. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say real quick, because you mentioned the adultery thing, right? I forgot about that. They teach you that, or they teach these women that if your husband is a non-believer, that you got to leave him and get with one of the brothers, sister. That's wicked as hell, bro.
I know.
That's fucking wicked, bro. So you're going to trust guys like this? Hey, it says that he that committed adultery lacketh understanding in the book of Proverbs. And look, it's evident. Look at them. These guys don't know what the hell is going on. But they're going to tell us that we're wrong. But then, years later, now they kind of want to slip it in like, oh, yeah, by the way, the MOTB is a digital ID. You see what they're doing out here? Hey, starting with the apostle on down. We've been teaching it, man. We've been teaching this. But I forgot because it doesn't come. What does it say? They despise a poor man's wisdom, Oh, yeah. See, they believe Nate because, he's got the gay clothing on.
Right.
Where it's, he's got the riches. He looks good, He's got the nice glasses on, the nice garments. He's got to be a man of the Lord. Where's that in the scriptures, man? You got it, Doc.
Come on. Let me see. One second.
Come on. Because if not, I'll get that James. Because that's a heavy thing. Because that's what I was going to mention earlier. It slipped my mind. The water of the Al Bashamal Shai came back. The apostle and the elder brother, I think his name is Kanak, if I'm not mistaken, or Kanan Salaki, if I don't know if I didn't say your name correctly, but he's from San Francisco, and they made a great point in that video that they made recently about how IUIC switching things up. They said, okay, these guys are switching things up so much that now it's bringing confusion, and when these things really do occur, they're not going to know what's what. They're not going to know a definite answer. They're going to be like, well, is it this? Is it that? I know Nate said this. This bishop said that. This deacon said this. It's going to confuse everybody, right? And one thing that they did mention is that we can all agree on. Out of all the things they said, we can say this for sure. they've said it multiple times that it's not the microchip. It
Yep.
can't be that. It's anything else but the chip, man. You know, that's one thing we can all agree on. That they've said that numerous of times. So in their congregation's mind, when this stuff really starts becoming, where it becomes enforced, right? They're gonna say, well, Nate never mentioned this. He always said it wasn't that. So I'll be cool if I take it. And we know if you take it, you're smoked, literally.
Right. Yeah, because the word charagma, it goes into something physical. Karax, the root of charagma is karax, which goes into palisade, which is the instrument used to insert that thing into your hand or your forehead. All right. And karax goes into grapho. All right. The writings, because in these small C hips, right, it's able to store all your information there. You know what I'm saying? If you know computers, it's called code, or, writing in code. So it's going to have all your info about you. And this way, they'll be able to scan you and see who you are, see your bank account, your health record, your V card. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
It's going to have everything on there. How can someone buy or sell with sin, or saying, oh, I'm with the embargo. Let me buy my groceries this way. It's madness. It makes no fucking sense. You see?
Yep. And then, Salaki, did you have more to say, Salaki?
It's just there's going to be something that's implanted into your hand, which thousands of people are already doing. Okay, you see the dollar crumbling as gold and the U.S. dollar are inverse to one another. So when gold goes up in value, hey, the dollar is just crumbling, it keeps going down, and now gold is just going into new highs, man. This dollar is purposely being what's it called?
Destabilized.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say destabilized, crushed.
Yeah, it's losing value on purpose so that they could introduce the whole world to new currency, which is a micro C hip, man. You see?
And I want to mention too, with going into and then it said the name is like 606 score and 6, right?
Yeah.
With Revelation 13 and like 18, something like that. I think 18. Hey, that goes into stigma, if I'm saying those correctly, and the last one goes literally into like a stabbing, bro. In order to get that device in you, you have to literally pierce your flesh, okay, for them to implant it in you.
That's the Karax, the palisade.
Exactly. Yep. So it all, everything links up. Everything makes sense if you actually know what's going on.
Well, Daniel, it says that none of the wicked shall understand, only the wise shall understand. But this is Isaiah 36:6, lo, which means look, lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, which is Babylon the Great today, America, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. So, hey, 2/3 are gonna trust in Esau, Edom, in this society, this way of life, and they're all gonna fold. They're all gonna take this micro C hit. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know and understand the Lord. They don't know His name. They're not looking for Him. You see? And here it is. They're gonna be hungry. Their children are gonna be hungry. Their wives are gonna be complaining. All right, and hungry. And people are gonna fold and take this shit. But the elect of the nation of Israel that trust wholeheartedly in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Chakwadash, hey, we're going to eat, drink, and rejoice without the microchip, all right? Without the charagma, because it's the Lord that's going to cover us. He's going to take care of us. He's going to feed us and protect us, man, in these last days. Remember that He has care for His elect, you see?
And what's so crazy about these other camps, right? The scriptures say what in Sirach, I think the 10th, or is it the 12th chapter, 12 and 10? It says what? Never trust thy enemy.
Never.
Like, my whole thing is, right, how could you believe and trust in this guy? You know what I'm saying? When he's oppressed you and your whole people for how many generations upon generations? You know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden you're gonna say, you know what, man? I think it's okay. This isn't a bad thing. Are you out of your goddamn mind? But you know what's crazy? It shows that they're gonna I'll say this: when they all were taking, the CV, 19, jabby jab, right? They literally folded. They said, you know what, it's cool. So when this stuff goes down, they're just gonna just say, all right, E, give it to me. I accept it. And that's wild as hell. Hey, but even going back to that whole CV-19 like era, right? These people, a lot of them just took it because why? They're like, I need to keep my job. I need to keep my job. That was like the main reason. They didn't care about, the effects of this thing, or what's the possible outcomes of it. They just said, I need to keep my job, and so they bowed down. And then a lot of them, shit, their jobs didn't even require it, but they're like, man, I need to go to Lollapalooza. I need to
Yep.
go to the Bears game. I need to see the Lakers. I need to see the Yankees. Damn, to Coachella.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they just folded, just off of entertainment purposes. You see?
Yeah, no, prophesy to us deceits, lies, speak to us lies. They want to hear smooth things, that everything's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Oh, you know what? I got one, man. Since hold on. This is good right here. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 28 and 29. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end, and our people don't consider, and that's why in Isaiah it's like, why should you be stricken anymore? You just revolt more and more. So when the Lord comes, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna get rid of 2/3, man. You're not my people anyway. You'll just come back through the elect. You see? And like Elder Karab always says, you're not gonna hold back progress anymore. All right, the Lord's coming to save his elect. He's gonna destroy 2/3 of his own people with the heathens here in America and worldwide, man. You see, we're not gonna wait 40 years in the wilderness anymore to enter into the land. No, the Lord's gonna scoop us up out of America, man, and wherever the elect are gathered around the whole the four corners of the earth. In one swoop, the Lord's gonna scoop us up, man. He's gonna tell his angels to come get us. You see?
Yep.
And 2/3, hey, they're going to witness it. They're going to see this, all right? And the strangeness of our salvation, just like the heathens, they're all going to be in awe, like, oh, shit. They were telling the truth,
Exactly, Ak. Yep. I want to get this real quick. Salakia. Let me get this. This is the book of what is it? Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. Because at the end of the day, that's what all IUIC is. Here we go.
Yep.
This is Matthew chapter 7. I'll start at you know what? Let me start at 13. I'm gonna start at 13 because there's a point I want to touch on. This is Matthew 7 and 13, and it reads, "Enter ye in at the straight gate," and we know that word "straight" goes into, difficulty. And you see IURC and these other camps, right, that aren't teaching the right doctrine. And that's the thing too, man. Of course we get on, specific groups from time to time, but really it's all of them. IUIC, ISUPK, Sakari, and any of these other random Israelite alphabet groups, right? They all don't want to go through the straight gate. They want the easy route, but you can't do that with the Lord. All right. Hey, there's only one way to salvation. You got to go through the front door, as it says in the book of John 10. As I like to always bring out, look, you can't go through the side door. You can't go through one of the windows. The back porch. Even those, the cellar, right? Them old school homes that got the basement cellars and all that. You can't go through that way. Hey, you got to go through the front door, and that's it. But see, these other camps, they're trying to, finesse the Lord somehow, but it won't happen, And the reason why they're trying to finesse is because they're going to feel uncomfortable. Shit. I mean, seriously, but see, what it comes down to, though, is their lack of faith, because they're worried about, man, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to, maintain? Don't worry about it. Just trust in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. That's the problem, man. Jake just lacks that faith all the time, and I get it. All our faiths get, tested in this thing, right? But yeah, you still got to, keep your integrity. You see? All right.
Man, hold on. I got two. For you.
Con.
I'm so sorry. This is real quick. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 7. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord Yahweh, in whose hope the Lord is. You see? So it's a blessing, man. The elect are going to have that faith. They're going to trust and believe in Yahweh Shem Shai. They're going to call upon the name of Yahweh Shem Shai in that time of trouble and be delivered. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord is our hope. He's our expectation. He's the way, our way out of this place. But this second Maccabees 15 and 18. Man, I love this scripture, man, because this is like this is a faith builder right here. A booster. You know what I'm saying? For the care. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's my bad. 8. Yeah, second Maccabees 15 and 8. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them from the Almighty. The Lord said he's going to save us, man. All right? The Lord said he's going to deliver us from the hands of our enemies, from all troubles. You see? He said to expect the deliverance, man. Expect the help and aid. What is it in Matthew? I think it is. He's like, take no thought for anything or tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Lord knows what we need. He knows what we want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the Lord's gonna, he's gonna make it happen in that time, man, because we trust and believe in Him. All right, we walked away from our iniquities. We left out with the old man. You know what I'm saying? And we're putting in the new man, and we're walking in the way of Yahweh Shai, which the Heavenly Father delights in. You see? So yeah, he's definitely going to help us, man. All right? He says, my people will never be ashamed. You know what I'm saying? The God of Israel, hey, that's our power, man. You know what I mean? Like, hell no. The Lord said to expect these things, that we're going to receive help, man. And that's why it's important to eat the whole roll and understand it. All right? Because, hey, the Lord fed Elijah with ravens. All right? He fed Daniel in the lion's den. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, there's nothing impossible with Yahweh Shem Shai. You see? And that's why we're to cry to him and pray to him daily, constantly, without ceasing, man. All right?
Con. Exactly. I'm gonna finish this out. This is Matthew 7 and 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And these guys are all in that broad way, and it's going to destroy them. The majority of these other camps are going to be deleted. All right. Now, of course, as we always say, do we believe that there are particular elect members amongst them? Of course. And through time they're gonna leave. And you've had, even in our camp, out here in Chicago, that you had certain brothers. They were in, ISUPK. They were following Sakari, so on and so forth. But over time, the Spirit was working with them, and they, were able, to see the truth. All right, and now they're with us. You see, but you're gonna see more and more of this occur, because the Lord is gonna start dismantling these groups. It's coming. We already got a taste of it with Sakari. All right. Yeah, they're still around, but a lot of that stuff is broken up. I know this for a fact, because the brother Yeridamba, one of these guys that he knows, right, from the world, he ended up joining Sakari, and they ended up, chopping it up for a minute, and he said that what happened in GMS, or not GMS, what happened in Sakari, Chicago, is the majority of the people left, and now they're broken into like several groups. Not even just a chunk of them said, you know what, we're leaving Sakari, we're going to do our own thing now because of that wicked BS you did. No, they literally broke up into several groups, and that's because they all want that power, you see. But point being, though, we're going to see more and more of this, all right, as we get closer to the end. But let me keep reading. It says, enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. All right, and remember, this is not a numbers thing, it's a quality thing, right? The Lord isn't looking for all of Israel, as we mentioned earlier. The Lord is looking just for the elect. Simple as that. All right? And let me keep reading. Verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. And that's what we're telling you people. That IUIC, ISUPK, these different groups, they're just a bunch of wolves in sheep's clothing. All right? Stay away from them. You know? Now, of course, the scriptures say what? Every man's got to be persuaded in his own mind, fully persuaded in his own mind. You know, these things, you know, for lack of words, I'm using this loosely because, you know, we ultimately know the Lord programs our minds. But for lack of words, hey, you have to make that decision. You have to be fully persuaded, you know? You see?
Right.
All right? But yeah, but point being, stay away from these guys because they're all over the place. You know? They're all over the place and they keep, you know, teaching false doctrine. Their deeds are evil. All right? All right? But I don't know if you got anything else, Ak.
No, with
You know,
that, we
that's
hope
it.
this lesson was edifying and
Got it,
exhorting. Again, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and those of great millstone who rule and tell us the truth, and salutations to all the Akim, pushing this word truth and sincerity with charity. Shalom and Abba Ball.
Shalom. Shalom.